Well, hey guys, this is Bones from the Warp 9 Systems benching team, and today I'm trying a little experiment here. People are aware that sometimes people will take their sticks of RAM and they'll freeze them using a Ln2 dice pod. And the thing that I'm testing today is I have some OCZ Flex sticks, which actually has a chamber that the water, normally on water cooling, can flow through. And the idea is obvious that if you can get Ln2 into this, that would be great. But the problem is, and that I'm going to be checking out today, is when you go to pour the Ln2 into the container, what kind of a reaction am I going to get from the Ln2? Is it simply going to go in? Is it going to spray? What's it going to do? And obviously, from the way that Ln2 behaves and reacts, it's going to spray. I can say that right now. But I want to see how severe the reaction is, basically for a safety standpoint. So if anybody tries this in the future, they can see it here, document what happens. And if it's really a risky thing to do, I would have to say, well, you can see here and judge for yourself. And that's the whole point of it. Right now, you can also see that my pot is divided, or my so-called pot is divided into two halves, and one half's a little smaller than the other, the way I made it on purpose. That's because liquid seeks its own level. So if you get this full and it goes down and comes back up, it won't overflow on this side, meaning that everything will equalize out and not overflow the pot. That's the reason I have it that way. I also have it that way because if this was just an open pot and you just poured Ln2 into it, the liquid would actually spread out, cover both halves or both sides of this, and then the spray that would happen would have liquid nitrogen just going everywhere, spraying around, and that's not a good thing. That's the reason why that you would want a separator between these two halves, because what's going to happen when I pour it into this smaller one and Ln2 starts to go down to the tubes and into the sticks, it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be blowing out this end, and hopefully the reaction won't be that violent. But that's the thing that I'm trying to figure out today. So I'm going to get some gloves on and just see what happens. I've got some leather-based gloves here, or at least this one that I'm going to be pouring with, because it'll probably get me on my right arm, because that's what I'm using to pour with. Also, the cold, once it starts to go into the pot, the cold should cause the tubes to stiffen anyway. So as long as the tubes are cold, they shouldn't allow the pot to just fall over. And I'm going to be back from it a little ways when I do this. I got some Ln2 here, so let's see what happens. And as you can see already, it's starting to blow out the other side. It even looks like it had a little bit of Ln2 get into that side. And the thing to remember about stuff like this is until the Ln2 causes everything to cool down, it's going to do that. Now, I'm not particularly worried because you can hear the cracking noises going on. I've got another set of these sticks anyway. I just do. So if something busts, and it probably will, that's always a possibility. I'm not that worried about it. I can still run them as air-cooled sticks anyway. And that was an acorn hitting the roof. Nothing to do with this. So far it's behaving about like I expected it to. As you can see, it's bubbling. You've got some Ln2 splashing up, which is the exact thing that I was weary of in the first place. You can see it's freezing up. let's see what that does. And it looks like we've got a little liquid Ln2 on the other side now. Again, it could actually split these heat spreaders. It could, due to the cold. And as far as I know, it may have. But I'm not that worried about it because, again, I can run them as air-cooled sticks just fine. And I have another set anyway, so I'm not that worried about it. But this is just to see what's going to happen, how it's going to react to everything. And I do have liquid nitrogen in both halves now. Apparently my little divider worked. Ln2 appears to be flowing through. And there goes another acorn hitting the roof. Yeah, I got a big oak tree over the top of the shed, at the edge of it anyway, of the oak tree. And this is that time of year it drops acorns, and they make a loud pop when they hit the roof. So it's nothing to do with that when you hear that. And it looks like I've got Ln2 on both sides. Again, the liquid level did even out. I'm just about out of the Ln2 in my flask right now, but that should be going down and coming up the other side. And it is spraying a little bit of Ln2, not terribly bad, but you can see what it's doing for yourself. Go ahead and pour the rest of it in. Excuse me. Now I was a little bit worried about it stopping up or clogging up those tubes with ice, but so far it hasn't done it. And it actually looks like the Ln2 trying to spray out is keeping most of the liquid on this side. But some liquid is getting through, and looks to me like it's close to equalizing out. I think I'm going to take this all the way down to where it basically goes to what you call full pot. So I'm going to have to refill my flask and try it again. I'm just refilling the Ln2 flask that I use. Now, since it doesn't appear to be that bad, I've removed my glove. Especially now since it's done gotten cold, the reaction won't be as violent or as bad. And we'll see what it does. Now once the sticks get to so-called full pot temperature, a lot of the boiling and spitting that you see will stop. But it's definitely spitting out some Ln2. it's probably, when it gets close to full pot, it's going to do the usual thing that other pots do, have a big whoosh, which is another thing I want to see. That's another reason why I'm taking it down, just to see how violent that reaction is. And I'm pretty sure the way that it is, you don't want to be around it when it does that. As a matter of fact, if I hear it starting to rumble pretty good, I'm going to back away from it. Then, of course, after it does that and everything settles down, it's fine. There goes that oak tree. I'm sorry that I can't get the camera any closer to what it's doing, where you can actually see the liquid inside the pot, but this is just the setup I've got at the moment. Go ahead and do this again. You can see it now coming out of the other side. Well, obviously, I've just been running this system. It quit on me, started throwing double F's on me as an error, and I said, well, why not try this while the system is frozen? And it's going to be wet anyway, may as well give it a shot. I was curious as to how this was going to react. There we go. Now that should go down. Again, that's the reason why that the side that I'm pouring into is a little bit smaller in size than the side that was open earlier, and it's sealed off from it so that the Ln2 gas expanding will actually have somewhere to go rather than just coming back up to the liquid itself. And that's the reason for it. And as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can. The heat spreaders and everything are definitely frozen. Carrying all kinds of pops and stuff from it. Looks like it may have already hit so-called full pot temperature, because I'm really not getting that violent of a reaction out of it. I'll just keep pouring until this little bit of Ln2 when my flask is done. Put a little bit in here. There you go. You see the level coming back up on the other side now like it's supposed to. Almost looks like it's never going to pull down the temperature because it's still reacting. anyway, I wanted to do this so that if anybody had ever thought of doing something like this, they can see what's going to happen, what to expect. And it's largely from a safety aspect too. Instead of venturing into something that's an unknown, you've got an idea what it's going to do now and how to set it up to where it's manageable. So maybe you don't get splashed with a huge dose of Ln2 due to the reaction of it. That was the biggest thing I had in mind in doing this. Oh yeah, gotta pour some cold out for you guys. Nothing like pouring cold. Yep. You just have to use your own judgment whether or not that you would want to do this for yourself, because obviously it's splashing Ln2 everywhere. That could affect the system and shut it down. So that would be something to consider if you decide to build a pot or something to contain all the splash, which obviously means, according to the level of the liquid here, you'd want something up to here, but you don't want to pour it in on one side, as explained earlier as to why I have it divided. That would probably be the biggest thing right now that I could see that one would have to do, is to have a taller extension for it to contain all the splashing that you see going on. But insofar as how it reacts, there you go. And that's really what this is about, just to see what's going to happen. And she still hasn't shown the usual indications of hitting a full pot temp. Aside from all the bubbling. I think I bumped the camera just then. I apologize again for that. I may have. But it looks like it's kind of settled down now. Anyway, there you go. That's what you can expect if you ever decide to try this at some point in time. I'm Bones from the W9 Systems benching team, experimenting once again with something crazy. That's what I do, how I figure things out, and well, it's just what you have to do. See you guys.